It's May 20th, 2026, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I'm Gerissar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey guys, it's Bigmoran, and I am considering playing Beast Mastery Hunter, but more on that later.
I thought you hated Beastmasters.
You know, since they introduced Conquest boxes this week, I thought to myself, I want to play something new potentially. And then I thought to myself, I'm not biased, right? Like nobody is truly biased in PvP.
No, never.
And there have been some accusations that I'm biased against hunters. So I thought maybe I should just play hunter.
Why not?
If there are these accusations, maybe I could shatter that by just playing what I supposedly hate. So that's what I'm gonna do.
But then won't you just be a FOTM reroller?
Listen, there's no shame in rerolling to whatever is S+ tier, and I think that's just the era we live in is re-rolling, and it's so be it.
But it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, though, right? Either you're a biased PvP content maker, or you're a FOTM reroller content creator, right? So it's...
Yep.
So what makes Beastmaster so damn OP?
I mean, this is a touchy subject because it's like one of those specs that is really volatile depending on what rating you're at. Like I think BM is undoubtedly like the best like low MMR, mid to mid MMR spec in the game for a solo shuffle. Sure. It's just kind of like an autopilot class. Like your damage rotation is pretty easy. You're gonna have a pretty high impact almost every single game as long as you're just doing damage and trapping. And yeah, it's like your role is just simple. And I think that goes a long way in PvP, in shuffle especially. It's just to have a simple task that you can just do over and over.
Yeah.
I know some people think that BM isn't the greatest at like the high MMR, but I still think it's pretty good. Like there's no way it's bad. I mean, of course it might die to some of the more meta specs, but it's still very, very competitive. So I just think like its ease of use combined with its, ability to be lobby neutral and high impact just with damage alone is just what makes BM so good.
Fair. And the fact that you have two pets out doing a bunch of damage for you while you're able to kite doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, just doing your entire damage sequence on the move is pretty crazy.
Yeah. As I was doing skirms for the weekly on Monday, and there's a Beastmaster that just completely kited me, and that blew me up. While I'm like, I just want to get to you. Of course, I should have just pillared and Elias at him, but that no, I was gonna chase him down because I was on my demon hunter, and I'm gonna catch you, and that no way. It was horrible. I guess, and as I say that, I just realized at no time did I turn my character around and glimpse back, do a vengeful retreat towards him with
do
my
a backflip.
Yeah, I totally should have did a backflip toward, and that would have been Anyway, well, enjoy your Beastmaster. I can't really throw stones too much though, considering I'm really enjoying playing this. Ever since Ox came on and talked to us about Devo, I've been playing Devour and the Void Scarred Melee's version, like the one he basically talked about, and I'm digging it. It is fun. It's so cheese though. Like watching somebody just melt in front of me when I hit a couple buttons is just
yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a fighting game character or something. Like,
right?
You get your power up, you charge in, and just the next 6 attacks just blast people. It's like boom, 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 boom. You're just throwing uppercuts. And that spec is wild. I think Dev. I mean, it looks really fun because
it is.
when they initially released Evoker, I was like, this looks okay. I mean, this looks
Yeah,
like it doesn't really feel like WoW, but DevDH just feels like this like crazy version of WoW. Like
it does.
it's just
Yeah,
this crazy spec.
and it's truly the glass cannon. It's the glass cannon that Mage never will be, because you know you get one stun and you're toast, right? Unless you have somebody that's watching for that and they get you out or they save you. But yeah, it's you do a lot of damage, but man, do you flop. it's it's so
Yeah.
wild. It was so much fun. But so and this is like I can understand. I can totally understand like people on the other side. Like I watched one person just like completely drop over in like 5 seconds after the gates opened, and I'm like, that I felt bad. Like I actually felt bad for the player, because I'm like, I just know that they're on the other side. Not like they had nothing they could have done. They probably could have pushed a defensive or two, but it was so fast that, and I can see why there was so much crying over Devo and just like the output that it does. And I'm not even fully geared. Like I'm only half geared at best on this character. So it's like
It's really eye-opening playing a spec that's like really good or like
mm-hmm,
broken.
mm-hmm.
I don't remember when this period of time was, but there was a period of time where like full moon on balanced druid was like a one shot. Well, I guess during Legion it was really good, and
It
then
was.
later on, I think in Dragonflight they buffed full moon like crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember queuing up that week, and it was just like I was deleting people. Like
Yep.
I would pop in car and get my full moon cast off, and people would just die from
Yep.
like 70% to zero, and just like
Yep.
with one spell, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And but what's so eye opening about that is we're just talking about flavor of the month re-rolling.
Yeah.
That's kind of how like all these broken specs tend to be. It's like you just press a button and you win. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy design.
Yeah, which blows me away that that even happens. Like, and so this is kind of irks me, is how often that there's some design decision, and it's so broken. Like you should, they give uncounterable damage. There's no way that this should actually exist in PvP, and yet we as the PvP community, you know, we see it on the PTR, we cry it out and are ignored. It hits live and we cry it out and it gets ignored. And then everybody switches over, and then 2-3 weeks later they're like, oh yeah. And so then they nerf it, or they make some hot fixes. Um and okay, so it's diminished a bit, and either something else happens, like constant. It seems like every patch, every expansion, like all the time. It's tiresome, dude. Like, I get,
Yeah,
I'm so tired of trying to like, hey, be, devs, what are you doing? Right? Did you think about, why aren't you doing this? Are you thinking about this? Like, why am I doing their job for them?
yeah, it is kind of frustrating. And like to be
Kind of.
honest, if yeah, well, for me personally, like I don't know how many years ago I kind of became jaded to all this. Like
Mm-hmm.
because I used to be like one of those people who is like really outspoken and posting on the forums my thoughts of like these are the changes WoW
And
needs.
by forums you mean elitist jerks, right?
Well, it was no, this is actually WoW forums.
Oh, okay.
So I would take my time to give feedback. I
Mm-hmm.
would write these long paragraphs of why Cyclone shouldn't have a high mana cost, all these things. And then after a certain period of time, I was like, well, you know, nothing's changing.
Yeah.
Nothing is going like I'm just wasting my time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I kind of had a paradigm shift. I don't know when it would have been, like maybe around Legion or something, where I was just like, I'm just gonna play the game. And I'm gonna assume it's never gonna be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. Like I'm not gonna put any effort trying to make anything like significantly better. I'm just gonna hope that the game changes. It's like I was being like a I decided I went from being like an uh like a sad optimist to being like a pragmatic pessimist, was like, okay, the game's probably not going to be great. They're not going to be how I want it to be, and there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be all these problems. And I'm, sure. And if Blizzard does something cool, then I'm going to be happy. Like, sometimes it's good in life to be a pessimist, and I think WoW is a really good game to be a pessimist.
Yeah, I think you're right. Am I dumb? Like, do I remember it wrong that it wasn't like this back in vanilla? Like, I know vanilla had a bunch of its issues, like that. You could chain fear somebody to oblivion. You could, there's no DRs. Rogues were broken as f. And all it took was a carry through a raid, the highest tier raid, and next thing you know, you were deleting people in the open world because there's so much power difference, right? But besides that,
Well,
it was good though, right? Like,
yeah, I think kind of over time, like WoW is like one of the few games that, well, in my memory, like the few one of the few earliest games that had like patches.
mm-hmm.
Like other games, for instance, you'd buy them, right? Say you buy Pokemon. The game you get on that cartridge is the game the entire time. It's not going to change.
Yep.
And WoW, I think, was the first major game. I'm sure there was other games with patches, but I think it was like, the amount of WoW patches, the amount of content you got, which is kind of like this endless stream. And I think kind of WoW had this unique advantage because there weren't many other big like competitive games or like these, massive experience. Of course, there was like Counter-Strike and, StarCraft, whatever. Then I think like maybe people became like a bit upset, when they saw the rise of, for instance, like League of Legends, and League was getting all this cool esports content over
Mm-hmm.
time, and there was seemingly good balance in League. At least that was kind of the perspective, is like it's a better balanced game. So I don't know. I think like WoW kind of it enjoyed this period of time where players didn't really have anything to complain about, because it's like, well, this it's gonna change. But I think over time they kind of got tired from expecting certain changes and not getting them.
Yeah. So I think I want to say EverQuest did the patch thing too, which was a
Yeah.
predecessor. Oh, did I lose you?
No. I'm
Okay.
still here. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. No, I think EverQuest. So like, obviously, Blizzard copy and pasted a bunch of EverQuest stuff, and it's fine. But as far as, I think you're right that League of Legends, because of the way it worked in like, sorry, like, so League of Legends, it was great because yes, they did a bunch of balances, but it's easier for them to balance because there's less abilities, right? And they purposefully seem to raise a character up. It's good for a while, and then they'll drop it back down, and then raise another one up. So there's always this kind of ebb and flow. Like they're constantly tweaking the meta on purpose to do that. Whereas I feel like the delay time between even just like Blizzard reacting to something broken, like there's no way in League of Legends Riot would let some character be so OP broken that half of the player base all plays that one character. But it seems like in World of Warcraft they do that and it's okay, right? Like, and then we feel ignored, and there's like, and at least with Riot again, they communicate back, right? There's some, they respond to things, versus for Blizzard, we're pointing things out, and then their communication is a note in the hot fixes, or the patch notes. Like there's no direct feedback to that comment, or like no blue post or no design post, the water cooler post or anything like that, which we used to have. And yet, like just recently, the 12.05 patch dropped. It was full of bugs, and the best we got was the standard. Sorry, we know, we'll do better, right? We'll communicate better. We'll do something better, and it's always this empty "we'll do better." And I'm just, again, like, I'm just like, so the one that really broke me this time was the fact that they reset the servers. They did a 4-hour shutdown, brought the servers back up and announced that they had removed the cap for crests in PvE, and then ta-da, everybody's like, hello, conquest cap, right? And I get they're different because the crests are there when that change happens when the Hall of Fame gets filled. What had just happened, and that had just happened or was announced on the Monday. So yeah, okay, it makes sense that they do that. Like that's the linkage. That's what X turns into that. But on the flip side, did they not figure out that after 8 weeks of what's it 800 point increase per week to 8,000 equaled full set of gear? Let's remove the cap. Like,
yeah.
Again, why do we as the player base have to remind them about their math and their game?
Yep.
I
mean, we had someone just join the call a few moments ago. Like, you're just talking about communication. Jake has been asking for communication. A line of communication for what is it? 2 years? How many years now? Is it
almost 3 years. Almost 3 years.
almost 3 years? Jeez Louise. And yeah, it is quite jarring. And I think to me, the most insulting part about all of this is the fact that, like, WoW is the most monetized it's ever been, right? Like, there was that controversy a few weeks ago with the $80 housing decor pack or whatever. I don't know how much it cost, but let's just say $80. They've dropped that Brutosaur dinosaur mount, $90. They have so many streams of revenue. It's crazy. And yet the product feels like it's worse. Like, it's jarring. It's like, man, like I made this kind of troll tweet the other day, just this bait tweet that I'm sick of WoW being about cosmetics.
Yeah.
And that was, it was me partially trolling, but there is some truth in that. Like, I genuinely believe like the cosmetic elements of WoW are like taking precedence over the gameplay, because and it's just so disappointing as a player who enjoys the gameplay that it's like we wait forever to get the we have to whine on Twitter to get a conquest cap lifted. Meanwhile, they're just pumping out these $90 cosmetics like crazy. And it just seems like the effort's being put into the wrong places if you are a competitive player. Like that's I think the perspective of a lot of people.
Yeah. It's frustrating. I don't know. I how about you, Jake? All right. Do you feel like we're still fighting the good fight and that Blizzard's paying attention to us? Do you feel frustrated that we have to fight even and to request Blizzard to pay attention to these things that are an issue and impact our gameplay? Or are you just jaded as F?
I think probably definitely jaded for sure. I think having done this for so long, I think I would have to be a very weak person, I think, to kind of, if I'd given up already, but I haven't given up after 3 years almost. And I think, I don't think Blizzard do a good job. I think they are part of a big umbrella company, a big corporation. And I don't think we've had the same love and care that the game needs and should have really since probably what I think is when things really started to go downhill. I think it was when Holinka got tired of the amount of abuse that he was getting, and we just kind of took for granted the fact that we actually had someone that was close. So yeah, I don't think communication is good. We have no idea who works on PvP. We have no idea who works on anything. So realistically, we kind of like take shots in the dark and say if there even is a PvP dev, and I don't think there is. I genuinely think there is a balance person, a person that is in charge of trying to maintain things, and they kind of just have a little stab in the dark about, oh yeah, we've sort of seen some chatter about this, so we'll kind of give it a nerf, but we don't really know what it is, because I doubt any of them actually play PvP. And why would they? Because it's so heavily gatekept and just so miserable sometimes that I can understand why not even the devs who want to play it want to, because they've got to deal with the PvPers, whereas they can kind of jump in with their mates in PV and M plus or raiding and just have a chill time. So yeah, I think we're all jaded for sure. I think you can't do PvP and not be jaded, but I'm still hopeful. That's not me giving up ever.
I want to say that I think there's people in the QA team that like seriously play PvP and are still very much into it. In the dev design space, I suspect that there's some play there, but you know, is that rated like high rated? Is it just like mid tier, or is it just, you know, randoms and casual stuff? I don't know. And I want to say that yes, we don't have a PvP dev anymore ever since David left, and that was again like he was designing maps and he was doing like he made the new zone, the new PvP zone that we have. He made a couple of the new arenas and that, and the battlegrounds. So as far as I know, that has not been filled again, nor have they posted for that. So you're right though. Like I don't know who. I have some guesses who's still there. I have some guesses that they have some impact on PvP decisions, but again, like you said, there's no PvP dev like there used to be with Holinka. I honestly, I feel like the time when we lost the heart of PvP was probably when Morheim and Kaplan left, and then I think Holinka was like the last bastion there of that, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Holinka left the same time as Kaplan to go work on Overwatch. All right,
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
I want to say they left it around the same time together.
You know, what's so interesting is that timeline kind of lines up with an epiphany I had. I always find it funny for when I plug future videos that I'm working on, but I was working on a video today called "The Most Broken Spec in Every Single WoW Expansion."
Okay.
And what was really interesting is, it was pretty easy to do this for a few of the early expansions. Like TBC, it's obviously Rogue. Like Rogue is just by far and above like the best class in TBC.
Yeah.
Wrath, it's a bit trickier, but I would say Ellie Shaman, like you can point to something being like disproportionately good. Anyway, fast forward to Legion, and Legion is really tricky to like say definitively what the best spec was during that expansion. And it just so happens that Legion had, the most novel, system that we haven't had it since, the stat templates plus the honor talents.
Yep.
You had an honor talent tree. It wasn't just 3 talents you picked from. It was like multiple. And yeah, the stat templates made it so like, okay, gear doesn't matter as much. I mean, it mattered a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like Blizzard could tune things in a way that they haven't, or they weren't able to tune things before, right? They could just nerf sub-rogue stamina by 40%. And it's like, I was thinking today, like, maybe Legion is just the solution. Like, I mean, obviously not, and I don't mean like classic Legion, but maybe some type of Legion-esque system with gear and stats is exactly what we need, and like an honor talent tree instead of just having 3 PvP talents.
Yeah,
I think that, and again, that kind of lines up with the quote unquote decline of WoW, of WoW PvP is like after Legion, and so I think there's maybe something we can all take away from that. And yeah, I mean, the balance, there were overpowered things in Legion. There were definitely broken things at times, but it's like everyone kind of had their own turn and everything was like pretty good. Most yeah.
I want to point out that yes, so PvP tuning was implemented in Legion, and it's been successful ever since. But the other thing that Legion had was it desynced PvP gear from the PvE tiers. So we had like, what was it, 7 seasons in one expansion, unlike like 3 seasons that match the tier sets, the tier seasons now. Like, could we have that back? Could we have short seasons?
Can we get that back? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like Legion seemed to solve all of the, like Legion prevented some problems from happening that I think happened today. And yeah, it's like, let's go. Let's take something from this, Blizzard. Like, and I think everyone kind of, has fond memories of Legion. I've never met anyone who's like, oh, I hated Legion.
I loved it. It also had the free for all areas that was brand new with the PvP World Quest. Like there's a bunch of stuff that we're taking that we take for advantage now that were implemented during Legion, and saw some great success.
I agree. There's some fantastic things that came from Legion. I will remember it fondly. I think there is a lot of stuff across the board. I don't remember it. Well, I remember some parts really fondly, the parts that I played, but I was going through some things back then, so I didn't get to play a lot of it. But it is a really fantastic game, and I think that there needs to be a look back into that and analyze what was good. But I think actually we can't really, because Shadowlands was such a defining era for WoW. That was the divergence. You saw so many people that for years had supported WoW PvP were asking for solo shuffle, and then they just got to Shadowlands like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Like, why would I keep playing this? Why would I keep doing this to myself? And so I understand that. So I don't know whether they'll ever go back to that. I would love to see that concept made, but unless that aspect of WoW gets a huge amount of support and money into it, I sadly don't think we'll ever get it.
Yeah, but to argue that, the Shadowlands also had some of the worst part of PvP with the gear bracketing, and if you weren't ahead of the curve wave, you would enter into the next bracket and just get beaten right out of it, because there was such a power difference in gear and item level because you didn't have the next level gear. So it I don't know, there were some great parts to Shadowlands, but I think there were the major issue I've always had with World of Warcraft in the competitive side, like PvP, is how I'd rather, like right now, where it's really easy to get gear and that a person is able to use their skill set to express and do skill expression to climb the ladder and show how good they are, and not be winning just because of some bug or some OP trinket that the RNG luckily got out of some mythic raid or something like that. Like, I think right now there's so I tweeted about it earlier. There's a bug right now with Warlocks, Affliction Warlocks. This is actually a return bug. Apparently, it happened before and it came back, where a player can stack. In the world, they can stack a bunch of UAs on a target.
Oh, yeah.
They can when they go to soul swap it, then they enter into an arena. It's stacked. It doesn't clear when the gates open, and then they one shot somebody. And there's no counter to it. And there's there's a Warlock right now that just achieved Gladiator, who has been a lifelong duelist.
No, they're like a lifelong combatant or something.
Yeah. It was worse than that, I saw.
Right, yeah. So like a lifelong combatant, like 16 hard stuck 1600 and just got glad because of some bug. Like, obviously that person's probably gonna get banned or they'll lose their title or whatever. So okay, but. And again, like, this goes back to, like, I tweeted it at the devs. I made mention to some contacts I have, and nothing's been fixed. So obviously it's not an easy fix, but lo and behold, like, now there's a player who's now going to walk around for the next few weeks with a Glad mount and a Glad title, like, do look at me, right? And like, and they just made the game miserable for how many players, right? And in the meantime, what was it? Marksman Hunter got hard nerfed overnight or something like that, because and it wasn't even a bug. It was just like they were OP. Like, I don't know. It's just frustrating. I constantly feel like we are battling against Blizzard to make their game good.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I don't know. Okay,
I think that's the problem.
Let's get out of sad space and just talk about some good stuff. Or I'm not sure if it's good stuff. Let's talk about this. So, So 12.0.7 is on the PTR, coming around the corner. I think they're guessing it's like 3 months away, if I'm not mistaken, is when it's going to drop. So in this, they're dropping another raid, which kind of blows me away. So this is going to be a 4 raid tier, but because it's a new raid, they're actually increasing the item level of the gear that drops out of the raid to 298. So max was 289. They just implemented a system where you RNG some things to increase the power of your items, your weapon and your trinkets, which they then mirrored into PvP somewhat successfully. And now in 3 months, they're going to drop another raid that increases your whole item level to 298, and to max out at 298. And so they decided that they're going to increase the item level of PvP gear, all PvP gear, so Conquest, Honor, and Crafted, by 9 item levels. So now that means everybody, assuming that there's no RNG, like having to go get splinters or something else like that, that means your gear is all going to automatically scale now to 298. Like that's a bit of a power increase. How does that relate to the fact that they just hot fixed the trinket bonus to increase the amount of stamina so that it would slow games down a bit because it was a bit bursty? Doesn't it sound...
It's hard to predict like what the repercussions of the increased item level will be, but so they're releasing a new raid. There's going to be all this new gear, 298 item level. Presumably, we're going to be able to upgrade our PvP gear to 298 with those new things or something, right? Like that. Is that the assumption?
They made it sound like it was going to happen automatically.
Oh, okay.
So Monday you're going to be 289, and Tuesday you're going to be 298.
Wait, is this patch next week? When is the patch?
This is This is 1207. So this will be like August.
Okay. Interesting. Well, that's funny. That's right before BlizzCon. So that must be like that's weird. So they're going to release this patch at the new raid right before presumably the new season is going to start. Because I think what the plan was to have BlizzCon happen in season 2.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
Well, then 1207 will drop like in June.
It must be. It must be coming then.
Maybe
yeah,
July?
I mean, were there any class tuning or class design things in the patch notes for 1207?
Not quite yet. It's mostly content stuff first, and then we'll see some tuning after.
Okay. Well,
but yeah,
classic.
But that's the thing. Like, yeah, what does it increasing everybody by 9 item levels? Like that's more stats. Now you're gonna have more crit, more haste, more mastery, more main stat. Like, doesn't that mean that our spells are gonna hit harder? Our abilities are gonna hit harder, right?
Yeah. It does, right?
So now, obviously, then the stamina is going to increase a bit. Is that going to be proportional? Is that going to be proportional enough, especially with the increased trinket bonus, that the games will still be that whatever minute mark they're looking for, or is people going to start bursting harder so much more now that they're going to have to counter it somehow, or they have to tweak something a bit more? I don't know. I actually foresee where they're gonna like all classes are gonna like get like a 3% damage nerf straight across the board or something. Like they're gonna have to do.
Well,
something.
it seems like they love to adjust that stamina value. Like that's their solution to slowing the game down these days. It's like let's just straight up buff everyone's stamina, which is, to me, that just seems like such a band-aid solution.
Oh, it is.
Like surely there's got to be a better way to tune. And yeah, I mean, to your point of increased burst damage, like that doesn't address the healer problem whatsoever. Like people don't want to play healer because burst is really high, and CC is disproportionately good right now. And so yeah, I could foresee an environment where healing is even more stressful even though you're healing from more, it's like, well, damage is coming in even, faster too.
Yep.
So yeah. If you played against any enhancement shamans recently, my God, like, healing against an enhancement shaman seems like probably one of the most stressful things. If you don't react like 0.1 seconds to doom winds, it's just like someone's health is just deleted.
Yep. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
see, that's the problem. I think there's just too many issues. There's too many things that are kind of causing people to just have a kind of sad time, and I think that's a real issue. I think they just can't leave it in the state perpetually, because you have like 1 week of things being okay, and then suddenly it's just awful. There's just something that's like broken, and they've just broke it, and they didn't think that would ever be possible, and they just did. It's just that's the thing that really grinds my gears more than anything.
yeah.
Anyway, rant over. Rant over.
He's gonna slash lean now. I don't know. It's I want it frustrates me because I want to be cheerful. I want to be happy about the game, and there's some parts of the game I do enjoy. There is, like, we're talking about earlier, like playing. It's cheesy. Like, playing Devo is cheesy, but it feels, huge endorphin rush when you hit a few buttons and watch somebody just delete, right? Like, it's fun. But at least I find at least I'm counterable. Like, if I'm playing the Devo, like, all of a sudden I get stunned, and all of a sudden all my damage goes away until I can build it back up, right? I get cloned or whatever, like polyed, all that stuff. I don't know though. There's sometimes it like, at least that's counterable and that's fun. The other times when you're up against something and it just doesn't feel like there's a way to counter it, like, that is just so frustrating. And really, again, like, going back to this whole thing, I feel like the decisions that the devs make are not counterable. Like, or it takes too many voices to or somebody that just happens to know somebody and are able to message them directly that the impactful quick change will happen. I don't know. But again, like, that's probably why Marksman Hunter got fixed overnight, and other specs have been ignored for weeks. Right? Like, I don't.
Yeah. But people whine about the hunters more. Like, I can definitely hold both my hands up and say that I am a frequent hunter whiner, especially online. So it makes sense why they would do that, because there is a significant amount of people that do complain about it. So in my mind, I feel that'll be why. But there'll be some things that are flying super under the radar that everyone is kind of annoyed about, but you can't really say anything. It's kind of like Enhanced Shaman. Enhanced Shaman has been terrible for so many expansions. Only really good in the hands of people that really, really love Enhanced, which is very few, because not many people love Enhanced Shaman, unless you're a PvEer. But now they're in the kind of spotlight. You're kind of like, is it morally right for me to complain about Enhanced Shaman? Like, am I not just sort of, affecting my cosmic karma right now by complaining about them? But there are aspects of it that they are broken. They are kind of over the top. So
Yeah.
I guess in a way it's kind of like when DKs are strong. Like, DKs are always really strong start of expansion, and then they get nerfed into oblivion. So when they have a moment in the sun where it's like, actually, you know what, for 2 or 3 weeks my spec is kind of good, you kind of go, okay, yeah, I can't really say anything. It's horrible, it's miserable, but you can't really say anything.
But are they counterable?
I think everything is counterable. I think the problem is that the specs that kind of tend to counter these ones tend to be like heavy CC comps, like Rogue Mage. That's the problem. So you then kind of go, well, I need a rogue in my team in order to deal with how incredibly strong these guys are.
Yeah.
And
So
that's the kind of
you're
thing.
stuck to the RNG and in solo shuffle. Then you need the coordination, and good luck with that, depending on the bracket you're in. Yeah, I guess that's probably the hardest part, eh? Especially in solo shuffle. Like, I think that's where a lot of this stuff really feels more impactful. I figure in threes, it's there's enough coordination that you can probably work through it, but other times like you're just screwed, especially in shuffle because it's the RNG nature. But then I guess arguably they're going to be on your teammate for two or three lobbies, right? So it should pan out.
I suppose so. I think the problem is that for me, it's sort of I like shuffle is great. I enjoy shuffle. I hate the time I have to wait for shuffle, but shuffle can be fun. That's not a problem. It's its own beast. Like in that, anything is killable. You just wait for dampening. It'll work. I think it's in threes where you're sort of playing something a bit more organized, where you kind of like queue into stuff that needs to be stunned, but you don't have many stuns. Like for example, the comp I was playing, which was Windwalker, Devourer. We didn't really have that many stuns. We had loads of damage, but not many stuns. And unless you played with a Holy Pala, obviously Holy Pala have been total garbage for so long. And they're the only ones that we kind of tend to play with, and works really, really well, but they are garbage. So you just lose on mana, you lose on everything because they can't keep you up because their healing isn't good. And you don't have enough stuns really to kind of keep things locked down or do the CC chains that you kind of need in order to do damage. Yeah. And that's kind of when people get frustrated and go, well, I'll reroll Rogue because Rogue despite the CC nerfs and the changes, Rogues have an incredible amount of lockdown, which on some classes is like a breath of fresh air. So yeah, I think in truth, it's a bit of design flaws in my opinion, but it's just a shame that that's kind of how things tend to be. And that's how you would counter something like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And yeah, I think that's probably the other thing is, especially in threes, if you're basically only have the ability to play the one comp because you haven't had a chance to really alt around, then if you're constantly being faced with counter comps, it's just overly frustrating. And yeah, we talked about that last episode, just like how the pruning was not done evenly across all the classes, with the removal of CC and the removal of some utility.
Yeah, and I think they tried. They tried, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like an attempt was made, which is fine. But I think at the same time that it also wasn't, and I don't think they really grasped what they should have been doing. So
yeah, clearly somebody didn't do the sticky wall correctly to make sure that there's balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, shoot. Well, Jake, I'm going to do this to you since you joined us late. Before we do the one thing we change, I just want to do a quick shout out, just completely off the wall. This is me promoting. I don't know if you guys follow Troma at all on Twitter. Troma is a French player. He very, very passionate player about World PvP, and had done a bunch of work to try and convince Blizzard to do a bunch of work for World PvP, and some of it actually impacted the design changes, I want to say, in Dragonflight, with how World PvP was done in Dragonflight. Anyway, he has gone ahead and built an add-on called Overlord, which provides opportunities and kind of incentivizes World PvP. And so it's a map add-on and UI and everything, and it creates capturable zones, and then it kind of does the King of the Hill capture, where if you're there, you see that the Alliance are trying to take it, if you're the Horde, or vice versa, and you can go and fight out to try to take ownership, and then if you do all the things, then you end up owning the zone. And originally it started, I want to say it was in the Arathi Hills there, around Stromgarde and that, and now he's built out some other zones, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Currently, I believe it's EU and NA. I'm not sure if it's Asia yet, but it's been talked about on the Ultra Time website. Icy Veins did a thing on it. There's been some other content creators picking up on it and making videos and stuff. So if you are interested in World PvP, highly recommend it. And if you miss World PvP, or it found that your server has been lacking somewhat, go check this out, and you'll find some people to play with, and probably find some good battles. So, okay, back to the one thing you would change. On to you, Jake. What's one thing you would change?
So I would. What would I do? I think I would. You know what? I'd actually change the rating system. I think the rating system is outdated, and I think I'm far more intrigued by how League and other things do it. I think that Warcraft can come up with its own concept on that front, but I think something that puts you more into brackets, like, as we say, combatant, like all of that, duelist, gladiator, that kind of thing, that would be the perfect way of doing it. And you go up through tiers and everything like that. I think Blizzard would probably find it a lot easier to balance MMR. I think there are ways that the League team have done it that make it work really, really well. And I think there is a possibility of a system there. However, yeah, I mean, if I got all the money in the world, that's what I would do. I think that'd be a really interesting change. I was about to like debase my own theory, and I was like, no, I've got all the money. I don't have to worry about that.
That's exactly it. You have all the power, all the money.
Exactly.
What about you, Big?
I go back to what I said earlier about Legion. I would love to see the Legion gearing system again. That would, I think, be a great way for players to pick up new alts, and I think it might make class balance maybe easier if we throw in some stat templates again. So I think a Legion based system for PvP is what we need in this moment.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some parts there's some parts of the Legion stat templates that I disliked, but I understand. I know where you're coming from. I get the feel for it. So I think all right. So this is me being cheesy. I would because obviously as much as I have the power and the money, I'm not going to find anybody to become the spokesperson for WoW PvP from the developer side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for the devs to build a AI bot to respond to all the PvP feedback that is sent back at Blizzard. So at least then, it's still being received by Blizzard, but then the players actually feel like they're being listened to, right? And I'd make sure that the AI bot had that little bit of snarkiness that we see in like the Blizzard CS, well, just that little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Love it.
Maybe a little bit of that's what your mom said or something. I don't know. Anyways, I love that your laugh is like so cheeky.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
Big.
Anyway.
Any shout outs for you, Big?
Any shout outs? Oh my gosh, I completely forgot we give shout outs. Shout outs to Gizmo, friend of the stream, skill capped druid channel extraordinaire. Gizmo got to rank 15 on the rest of druid ladder on EU for solo shuffle. So shout out Gizmo.
Well done. I guess the full moon carried.
Something.
How about you, Jake?
Exactly.
Any shout outs for you?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. GM and the crew of people that organized LFG London. This the sort of big meetup thing that we've got in the UK at the minute outside of PreachCon and PlebCon. So really, really, really fun. It was great to see so many people there. If you are from the UK or / Europe and you are thinking of doing it, join us next year. It's around, I want to say May. Is it April or May? I can't remember. Time is smashed together for me. So I think it's May. Come May next year, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. I think there's a lot of stuff to improve on, and it'll be a really, really fun time. So yeah, big shout out to them.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that you went there. That's awesome. I think
It was really great.
Kexman hosted it, right? Like he was one of the MCs. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to give a shout out to the Hooligan, who's a Ret Paladin. Ended up running across him doing skirms for the quests, and he just randomly tossed me a party invite, and we just terrorized the the skirms ladder, if you will, until we got the 1,000 honor for the quest. But stuck through it, and hard carried me a couple times, which was nice. It was good. It was a good sugar daddy for me, just to get me through that little quest chain. So shout out to the hooligan. Really appreciate it. And just for the quick outro, Big, can you list off where our listeners can reach us?
Yes, I can. If you want to contact us directly, you can do so on X at technically_PvP, or on Blue Sky at technicallypvp.bluesky.social, or even by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on our Discord.
And we are now hosted on Libsyn. Link to the website is in the show notes. Don't forget that the Bonus Roll website has a podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so please head on over there and tell everyone what you think of your favorite shows, including our own.
Indeed. And links where you can find us and all our socials will be in the show notes. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll chat with you next time. Good night, everybody.
See you.